Thank you all for coming. Coach Haynes is joined today by junior safety Nate Holly. Coach will start with an opening statement here in a moment. We'll open it up to questions afterward.
Good to get back on the winning ways. It's always good to see our guys bounce back, especially after we felt that we didn't play very well, in that week one. So to come back, and there was a lot of great performances that we had on both sides of the ball and in the special unit. So it's good to see our guys bounce back from that. But it doesn't get any easier for us. We again go back on the road against a Big Ten opponent. Our guys know that, so it comes down to our preparation, our belief that we can go there and get the job done. So, again, congratulate them yesterday. We talked about it this morning a little bit and moved on to Minnesota.
Let's just go. Coach, I'm just going to go right for it here. The team did great. I saw, looking at the stats, I see that defensively held them to minus 33 yards.
Right.
That is a dominant performance there. The attention is on your kicker.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
Again, you mean April?
Yes.
Okay. Again, just didn't really do it for the hype in the pub. I kind of went into it. Of course, we knew that was going to happen with it, but she deserves it. I think Nate will sit there and tell you she's one of the hardest workers on the team. Through all the winter conditioning and everything, she doesn't slack, at all. So she's a great student, great ambassador for the university. So all that went into the process that she deserved at some point in time to get an opportunity to go out there and kick, and the opportunity presented itself. So we did it. So proud of her. She made it, which was a great thing, also too. But like I said, it really wasn't for the hypeness of it. It was the right time, right place, and she deserves it.
It's just another one of the team, another part of the team.
Yeah, and she's that's kind of how she wanted it. And I think she had the best quote after the game. She said it was great, but I enjoy the win more. I want to go to a bowl game. I want to do this. It was team-oriented. It wasn't just about her and this kick and things like that. It was just more team-oriented, and that's really who she is.
Coach, it does. I think it's wise to expect, though, the publicity, because it is history making.
It is, and it's great for her. But it's. I'm telling you, if you come out to practice, she's first one out there, she's the last one leaving, and that's every day, all day for going on my third year that I've been here, of seeing her do that. And it's like clockwork. So there's a lot of hard work that has gone into this with her. I know she was a nervous wreck. I prepared her before we kicked. I had somebody go over to her and tell her, hey, if we score again, you're going to kick. I didn't want to surprise her like crazy and just call her name, and go out there. So as we were driving down the field, I told the Coach Clark, our field goal kicking coach, hey, if we score again, I want to make sure that April gets a chance to kick. So I sent one of our managers over to tell her to get ready. So if we score here, to get ready. So like I said, it's a great deal for her, but also a great deal for this university. She's a great ambassador for this university.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Nate, one more on April. Being a part of the celebration, can you just describe what it was like to be a part of, really, like he said, history?
Yeah, we were just all proud of her. Like Coach said, she works hard. She's with us every day, goes through what we go through. So we were all just proud of her and excited for her that she got her opportunity. Anyone that puts the time in and the work in, and even other scout players, if you want to call them that, or walk-ons or whatever, guys that aren't as fortunate, or in her case, girl, that aren't as fortunate to be out there every snap. When they go out there and they get their moment, then everybody's proud and happy for them and excited just to see them excel and get to experience, what maybe some guy gets to experience every play or multiple plays a game. So we were all just proud and happy for her.
Were you part of that aftermath where she was carried off the field?
No, I was on the sideline for that, so I was down just observing everyone and kind of laughing it up a little bit when she got raised up there and just having a good time with it. So
Was that ad-libbed or was there preparation for that as
no,
well?
I think that was just part of the moment. Maybe a couple guys had it planned in their head, but there was no talk around the locker room that was going down. So yeah, it wasn't like predetermined.
And when everybody got back to the sidelines, was it just back to business as usual? Is that
Yeah,
fair
I mean,
to say?
that's usually when someone makes a play. It was just like, when anyone makes a play, it's, hey, congrats, but now we got a game to worry about. So give you a smack on the helmet, maybe a headbutt, tap on the butt, whatever you want to do, and then, it's back to business.
Well, you're one of the stellar performers here on a defense. Again, that remarkable game. Are you a little envious of all the attention going just to one direction here?
No, I mean, we did have a great game, but it's we, not us as a defense or us as an offense or April as a kicker. It's all of us. We all get the credit in the win. So the publicity, wherever it goes, that's where it went. But we won. So wherever, like I said, whoever gets the publicity, it really doesn't matter. It's about us just winning. So.
This is for either of you. Do you use that along with the dominating performance to keep that momentum running into the rest of the season?
You definitely do. You want to make sure that it keeps going. And shoot, I grabbed Nate after the game and talked about, you want an identity on both sides of the ball and as a team. And, are you going to dominate everyone like that? No, but you want to have to form an identity of who you are, what you stand for. And again, me being a defensive coach, those are the games that you want to have, and you want to have them, on a consistent basis. Now, would you hold everybody to minus 33 yards? No. Are we going to hold Minnesota to minus 33? Probably not. But we still want that same type of effort. We still want that same type of attitude going into every game.
You mentioned, Coach, that obviously Big Ten opponent, like week one. Probably record-wise, at least by last year's standards, Minnesota last year was a bit of a stronger team than Illinois, and they held TCU, the third-ranked team in the country, to only 23 points, which is low for them. How do you avoid a repeat performance of what happened in Illinois week one?
Preparation. Preparation and attitude. That's kind of what we talked about this morning. It was early this morning. It seems like yesterday. But we get together at 6:30 this morning. So, but that's all. It comes down to preparation and staying within ourselves, doing the things that we have to do to win. You can't turn the ball over. You can't have crazy penalties like we've been having, and can't make mental errors, against really good opponents. And, Minnesota is different than a lot of teams. Coach Kill and his staff has been together for a long time. They're very well coached. I think they're one of the best coached football teams in the country. And, they're comfortable in their skin. They're comfortable who they are. They do what they do, and they do it well.
Coach, we spent a lot of time talking about the defense. Let's talk real quick about the offense as well. How encouraging is it, given what happened the week before, to go out and see Colin throw so effectively?
It's big. And the thing about the throws, they wasn't all downfield. I think the thing that we have the ability to do now is you can throw the ball for 5 yards and you got guys who can make plays. And I think that's when you look at the good quarterbacks, through the history of the game, it's not all down the field throws. It's not all perfect throws. I remember Colt McCoy at Texas. He had the highest completion rating of all quarterbacks in the nation. And I played against him, and I charted all of his throws in a whole year, and maybe 30 of them was past 10 yards. But he had guys who can make plays, after the catch, and that's what we had some guys do to help Colin out. Plus, you can sit there and you can run the football. Anytime you can run the football, it opens up your pass game.
You had, one game you struggled, one game you dominated. What did you kind of overall learn about the team so far?
We can bounce back, definitely. I think we can play good football if we do the things that we stay within ourselves. I think as a coaching staff, it's about we simplified a lot this week, and I think that's what we got to make sure that we do. Moving forward, is simplify and let our guys play. Don't go in there with a bunch of checks. Don't go in there with a bunch of this and that, and if this happens, and all that. Just simplify the game plan and let them play. But, I think, again, and when you talk about learning of the team, I think the guys will sit there and say, that they can play better. We still got to work on the penalties, but we didn't have as many mental errors, So, they can do it. We can do it. We can play simplified, smart football and still win.
Tell us about the mentality in the locker room as you prepare for somebody like Minnesota.
It's the same as each week, or each given week. We're going in to win, and that's the mentality. It's having confidence in ourselves and making sure what we do, what we have to do to be able to win the game. So it's not, to us, I guess to me personally, there's no more hype. It's not a bigger game. Each week is the game. So in the locker room, that's kind of our mentality, is we're going in to win the game, and that's it.
Coach, you had an offense that on Saturday really featured a really heavy run-first mentality.
Yeah.
Is that partially due to the weather, or is this kind of the offense you're really going to feature?
I think the weather had a lot to play with it. There's a couple things we could have did a little different as far as even in our checks, because they were, pressuring us a lot, but it's tough to do a little bit, in the rain. So, plus we were running the football, good. So I always sit there and say, I think you got to be 60-40 one way or another. Whatever you're doing well, you can continue to do it, and we were able to run the football. So it just kind of kept going.
Is there anyone up front offensively that played particularly well?
A couple guys. Brock McCauley played well. Reno played pretty good. Stefano Millen played really well, also too. But, also on the perimeter, I know we talked about that after week one. We didn't do a very good job blocking the perimeter. And we did a better job this week blocking the perimeter, because all of them wasn't, between the tackles. We got on the edge also too. So we, you always just want to see that improvement on the things that you talk about and you stress about. And that was one of the things that our wideouts and tight ends block better on the perimeter also too.
Nate, can you talk about your interception and how that play developed?
Well, technically I was wrong in the play, so I should have made one check. I checked another thing, and it just kind of worked out in my favor. Everyone thinks I forecasted the future and was a little bit selfish, but I didn't know it was going to fall into my hands. But yeah, so I just seen the guy go underneath, and I cut the receiver so our corner could come off and help somebody else. D-line did a great job getting in the quarterback's face. Obviously had to lift the ball, and it came off the receiver's hands, and it just happened to fall my way. So I did what I could to catch it and try to get in the end zone. So,
Coach, you mentioned that last week Delaware State is under a new regime.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit more about maybe what direction you think that program's heading?
I have no idea. I'm worried about Minnesota right now than Delaware State. But, it's a lot of good coaches, a lot of experienced coaches. So I'm sure they'll be fine in their conference and do a good job. But, that's a tough question because, like I said, we just look at them on film for a couple days, 1 week, and then, my mind's on Minnesota right now.
Take a look. We were just discussing this past weekend, Arkansas getting beat by Toledo.
Yeah.
Do you bring anything like that up ever to your team to show them, to demonstrate to them, not that they really may need it, but that if you play hard, then anything can happen.
Yeah, we talked about it this morning. We talked about that when we talked about Bowling Green, but we talked about the reasons why. Toledo lost every stat, the rushing, the overall yardage, but they won the red zone. They were 2 for 3 in the red zone, and Arkansas was 1 for 5, and they won the turnover margin. So those are things that when you go to the so-called Power 5 schools that you have to do. You have to, when you get in the red zone, you got to score, and you got to hold them in the red zone. You got to win the turnover battle. So, and then Bowling Green was kind of the total opposite. They had a bunch of yards, but they still scored in the red zone, and they won the turnover margin. So those are the things that we talked about. Can it happen? Yeah, definitely. And we talked about it this morning. We can go to Minnesota and win, but we have to do those things.
Just real quick on the running backs, you continue to rotate a lot. Are you kind of in a situation where you're trying to kind of learn about people, and then once you get to the MAC, find roles? Is that the process, or you just kind of see? Is there some other thought process?
That's kind of exactly, what it is. And we have so many of them that are, knock on wood, staying healthy, that can help us in a lot of different ways. And they all, really in these first 4 weeks, you find out what role, what do they do best. So now when we get into MAC play, this is what these guys can do. But I foresee all of them continue to play, and they're all playing well. We got to do a better job of holding on to the football, of course. But, you get into a situation in the game where you have a lead and you got a 250-pound back that can go in there and just continue to wear it out. That's a plus, for us. And, the other guys, Miles Washington and Nick, are doing a good job of just running hard. There's a lot of yards after the carry, that happened, on Saturday. And those guys are taking pride in that. So we'll find out, and we'll simplify it even more once we get, in these next 3 weeks on what these guys really can do for us and what they do well. But they'll all have a role, in our offense for sure. We played a lot more 21 personnel in this game with a lot of different formations because, Raquan can split out and play for us and do some things. So, and then we got into 2 big backs with Miles Washington and Trayon at the same time too. So a lot of different things that we can do with them, and we'll continue to build the offense a little bit to see what we can do with them.
Trey, obviously, his role expanded significantly.
Yeah. And that's kind of what we talked about after the last game, that he did a good job. I think he played 8 snaps, and then I think he played 20, in this snap. And it was kind of how it happened a little bit with how the game was going, at the end of the game. And, again, 250-pound back in there that can wear him out. So he kind of got a little bit more than what we expected. We were trying to get around that 15, play range, but he was doing a good job, and you can kind of see it in his eyes, and go ahead and keep feeding it.
He had a key block on Terhun's punt, which I didn't see.
Yeah.
I did see on Bolus's touchdown he had blocked. So
And
I see him doing other things too besides running.
And that's the thing, that he's doing a good job. He's on special units, doing a good job blocking and all that. So, and like I said, he's doing a good job of being all in.
And Bolus, just real quick, did some things as well. I know you said you're going to play him in
Yep.
key moments. That's an ongoing thing.
Yeah, and that will continue to be an ongoing thing, for as long as we can, do it. Colin, I think it takes a little bit of pressure off of Colin, also too. But George, I think every rep he gets a little bit more confident. There's a couple things, again, that we got to, clean up with him. But, you just, first time being out there is kind of tough on a quarterback. So every rep that he gets a little bit more experience. So, hopefully nothing happens to Colin, but if something happens to Colin, he can go in there and have the confidence to run the offense.
A lot of the fumbles came on option pitches.
Yeah. Got to work on it.
Yeah. Something you want to do.
Yeah,
Something
there's
you're going to abandon.
No. And that's why we kept on doing. That's the one thing that we talk about in these first 4 weeks. We got to continue to see what we can do. We got to come out of these 4 weeks, see what we can do, what we can't do. But don't just sit there just because you do something wrong, you abandon everything and just start panicking. So it is a part of our offense. It's something that we got to get better at. We're going to continue to see pressure. But if you hit it, it's a good play. You just got to execute. We got to execute it better.
How can obviously Minnesota, different team in Illinois, Big Ten,
Mhm.
they're like completely different teams.
Right.
Kind of talk about what they bring.
They're going to bring a physical, brand. Like I said, I think they're one of the best coach teams in the country. This staff has been together, I think, for 8 years or not more, together. So I'm sure, it's the continuity of the staff. You go in there every day, and it's kind of like, everybody knows everybody. It's nothing new. They have their system. They do it. So that's going to be the challenge. Anytime you go on the road, it's a challenge. And, like I said, they're going to be big. They're going to be a big physical, football team and well coached. And if we're going to have turnovers, we're going to have to create them because they're not a team that fumbles and throws the ball away. So those are things that we're going to have to create, and they're going to be sound defensively. I talked to Coach Treadwell this morning, and I always watch the offensive side in the morning, and I watched the defensive side this afternoon, but I kind of went in there and talked to him, and he said the same thing. Just if they're supposed to be somewhere, they're there. And that's the thing about them. They don't make, a whole lot of mistakes. So every inch we gain, we're going to have to earn, and every inch we don't give up, we're going to have to earn. So, but that's the fun part. That's the fun part of playing, these teams. Like I said, we're not going to prepare any different. It's not, this and that. It's not going to Minnesota. It's, going to another team, to sit there and play and sit there and compete like crazy to win.
Anybody individually jumps out at you?
You know what? I haven't watched them enough. I think the quarterback does a good job. They have another guy that they bring in, and one is really a quarterback, but it's a lot of wildcat type stuff. I don't know if he's thrown a pass, yet. The wideouts, I don't know him by name. The wideout number 1, I think they try to get the feature and get the ball to, a lot. So, but like I said, we know they're a good football team. They're a really good football team, and we're going to have to go play well to win.
Coach, you mentioned last week that Delaware State was pretty much preparing for another week 1
Mhm.
game. What's it going to be like for you and your team to be able to sit back and watch tape of the last 2 weeks?
You get a little bit of feel. We will watch a little bit of last year's, also too, because you're talking about the same staff, and a little bit the first 2 situations were totally different just because you had pretty much a coaching change, and then these guys going into year 1, so you didn't really know what to expect. These guys, you know what to expect a little bit more just because the staff has not changed. But they are personnel a little bit different on offense. They had a great tight end that they lost. They had a great running back, that they lost. Not that they don't have good ones now, but they had some really, really good ones last year. So they may change a little bit, but they're going to stay with who they are. So it's a little bit easier to prepare for. But they got a lot of different formations, a lot of different personnel groups that they get into that we got to, be ready for. But it does help that you got 2 games this year, under our belt to watch.
Anything else?
All right. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks, man. No problem.